How you been doing today?
Pretty good, man. Just finished
Good.
work.
Yeah,
We're here
same.
again today. So
Yeah, man.
today we wanted to talk about something that we've been discussing for weeks, bro. Literally weeks.
Yeah, dude. I think we had like a four in the hot tub right over there. We had like a 4-hour conversation, right, talking
true.
about this
Damn, that's
over
true.
over a language misunderstanding, right?
Semantics.
Yeah,
Exactly.
semantics. And I mean, we should get into it because they don't have any context, right?
Yep.
But it's the notion of it's kind of like my side of consciousness and identity changing, and your side of consciousness and identity changing.
Yep.
But it's the idea of infinite consciousness versus practical consciousness.
Right.
So do you want to explain about like what infinite consciousness is to you? Because to me, it's kind of like it's another word for God or the universe and Buddhism, Nirvana, those kinds of things. But my practical consciousness is more like things that AI and stuff talks about, like neurolinguistic programming, right? Hypnosis, these kinds of practical practices that are more recent. But why don't we start with you and I just go into that, and then we can talk about me, and we can touch on a little bit about our conclusion we came to, which is how we actually believe it's the same thing, and how it can be useful to people from two sides.
Cool.
So
we came up with these terms, practical consciousness and then infinite consciousness.
Yeah.
Essentially, we were talking, Aaron and I, we were at the hot tub and we were thinking like, hey, like I think we're talking about the same thing. So let's kind of
we were
differentiate
arguing.
this.
We weren't arguing. We were in respectful disagreement for like
Yeah.
3 hours, right?
Yeah.
We're like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, this, and then we realized when you said consciousness, when I said consciousness, we meant different things.
Exactly.
So we decided to call it infinite consciousness and practical consciousness.
Right.
Because we're actually in agreement. I support infinite and you support practical. It's just the words we were using. Right?
So I think infinite consciousness is, it's almost the same way as like people call God different things.
Mm-hmm.
People call sometimes God the universe, or they call it the Tao, or they call it, I don't know, infinity or something, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm
as
sure all the
soon as-
religions have their version of it, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I think they're all talking about the same thing too. But sometimes it feels like that concept is so outside of you, or it's almost impractical. And once you, for example, if you want to reach nirvana and you're doing all of the work necessary to reach enlightenment, it's not like you're going to be the Buddha and you're going to be sitting on a tree and just feel enlightened. Like, you'll have to use your enlightenment somehow in society. Otherwise, you're going to be up in the Himalayas doing nothing.
Yeah.
So it's cool that that you are experiencing the infinity, or experiencing your true nature, which is our connection to source, right? Because we're all connected to source, to infinite consciousness. But as soon as we go into the persona, or individuality, what Jung calls individuality really is individualism. That's when you start to develop an ego. And once you start to develop an ego, meaning a personality, that's when, so your consciousness that develops a personality, right? When you were a baby, you were just born, you're pretty much simply awareness, because you don't even know how to think, because there's no language in your
I don't remember
in your
anything
head.
from that time, right? Like when the first 3 years, you don't remember like almost anything.
Literally. And then you go on to a quest of individualization, which is a concept that Jung talks about. And it pretty much means that you are going from an awareness perspective, or infinite consciousness, to a person that acts out there in the world and has their own thoughts, beliefs, limitations, etc., etc. And the concept of practical consciousness comes about, I think, that's my opinion, you can also add into it, but it comes about when you yourself view yourself as a person. So once you view yourself as a person, not just, source, that's how you can start getting practical, right? So how can you use enlightenment as something practical? And I guess that's where we go into practical consciousness.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I feel like you're trying to bring the infinite and down and bring it to the practical space. It's like, how can I use that infinite thing? Like, it's in every religion, and like 80% of the world's religious. So like, obviously there's something in the human psyche that likes that infinite power, that infinite, omnipotent, all-knowing, all-creating, all orchestrating
connected
power. Yeah, everything. Yeah, like the movie Avatar, like James Cameron, right? Like, I think I said the other day, I feel like that guy was pretty enlightened, because the idea of the aliens is every plant and every animal's connected, and we're all connected together. Like that kind of idea. But your thing is bringing the infinite down to the practical. And for me, I'm trying to take the practical and realize that it can be limitless. It is infinite. So you can take the practical things, but you can achieve anything, because as humanity, we've achieved like ridiculous things, and people have done ridiculous things. They've made ridiculous changes in their lives that seem impossible, which is theoretic, like for all intents and purposes, is infinite. It's like, okay, like, I mean, we probably can't break the 1 minute mile, But I mean, we broke the 4 minute mile, and now we're down to like a 3.5 minute mile when it comes to running. So the thing is like really pushing that edge, like really daring to go as far as possible. Yeah, like really going as far as possible. But I think it's cool. I think people that are in the science space are much too limiting, and I think people in the infinite space are much too, they're not tangible enough, and that's where we want to come together and bridge it together, right?
Yep.
So how about we actually go into that? I want to talk about like right now, like we don't claim to know everything. We're just sharing our journey along the way. We're planning to do this for the next rest of our lives, really.
Yeah.
But how about we start with you? And I really want to talk about what's your best theory right now for bringing the infinite into the practical with your experience in yourself and the people that you've interacted with, or even just stories for the people you've never met. But what's your theory of bringing the infinite into the practical? And then I'll give my side of the practical to the infinite, and maybe we can meet in the middle a bit.
Got it.
I think that'd be an interesting takeaway for the audience. And anybody in the comments, of course, leave your thoughts in the comments as well. But let's start there.
I don't think it's a theory for me. Like, I don't think about my concepts as theories. So
okay, there you go.
Yeah. So
I'll let you speak in your way.
So for me, it's almost like the reason why you want to bring infinite consciousness to regular consciousness is a matter of its mechanics. So for example, you need to become aware of your true nature. And your true nature is, the reality is that we're all coming from one source, one consciousness, and we are all connected through that consciousness. So everybody has different aspects of that consciousness. There's like different bodies, but one consciousness.
I want to ask, because somebody might be like, what the heck? Some people might resonate and be like, yeah, but some people might be like, what the heck? Like, what do you mean by one consciousness before you continue?
Yeah. So one consciousness, what do I mean by that? It's pretty much we're all sharing the same fabric of existence. For example, Alan Watts, I think the best way to kind of portray these concepts is through metaphors and ways that people can simulate them. Like Alan Watts talks about it as you being a wave in the whole. You're a wave moving as part of the whole ocean, but the whole ocean is consciousness. And you are just a mere wave moving inside of consciousness.
And there's a lot of waves.
And there's a lot of waves. You're a wave.
Different levels.
I'm a wave.
Waves.
Yeah, there's other waves.
There's waves underneath the surface. Everything.
That's true. Everybody is a wave in this big sea of consciousness. So consciousness, almost like we are sharing the same consciousness, but we're living that consciousness through different bodies, experiences, personalities, different parents, different life experiences. But the cool thing about once you realize that you are actually connected to source is that you can take that awareness of yourself and understand, hey, dude, I actually am like this because I came up with a very poor background, or I had no education, or maybe I am highly educated. So now I think about things like this. The thing is, where it starts to get tricky is most people don't realize that they're not their thoughts, right? So personalities are based on thoughts. Egos are based on thoughts. And I mean ego, let's differentiate this. Ego, I'm talking about ego as in the Latin form of ego. Ego just means I. Ego just means personality. It's like an individualization of yourself. Like I said, you are mere consciousness, but now you're infinite consciousness, but now you're an individual of that infinite consciousness. And when you're an individual, you start to have an ego. It doesn't mean that you think you're better than others. That's not what ego. If you want a perspective of that, you should read "Ego is the Enemy" by Ryan Holiday. That's a really good book that explains this concept. And it's not how everybody talks about it. I feel like they want to hijack the word ego and really just confuse everybody because that's not the way to use it.
Yeah.
And so once you realize that you're not your thoughts, now you can start addressing things like, hey, I think I might have some traumas of me growing up. Hey, you know what? Let me address these traumas. Let me, dude, I never can lock in eye contact with people. Why is that? Am I too shy? No, it's because I have no self-worth and I feel very intimidated by other people's presence, action. Maybe they remind me of a parent figure, a mother figure, whatever it may be. But when you are affected like that, that's when you're affected like that, that's when you can start to take action and realize, hey, I can actually build my life however I want. I don't have to be this person that has all of these limitations. And so I can only do this because I'm aware of my thoughts and I know I'm not my thoughts. So if I'm not my thoughts, I can direct the thoughts that I want to create the life that I want. I can become anybody that I want to become. In reality, you can. You need to do a lot of work to do that. But you can reach those levels. And so I feel like that's the process. You first have a level of awareness where you realize that you're not your limitations, your thoughts, how you were brought up, what everybody says of you, what everybody thinks of you. You're not what you think of you either. Mm-hmm. So once you realize that, then you're like, okay, cool. How can I change my life and like start making more money? How can I start having better relationships? How can I start working out more, pushing myself more in the gym? You can start addressing all of these things from the lens of I am infinite and I am part of you. And at the same time, you start treating people better because it's like, dude, we are the same consciousness, just
like Avatar, right?
Exactly, we're the same consciousness. but and that's the thing, you know, the people. Let's just talk about Avatar a little bit. The people in Avatar, like you mentioned, the corporate dudes that wanted to take over the land, the world, all the energy.
Unconscious. It's like the unconscious people,
the unconscious greed, people in the earth, right? They don't realize that they're all connected and they're part of this same consciousness, and because of that, they want to take from people instead of adding to them, and so they're confused, right? And it's that same narrative.
I love how some of the humans become the aliens too. They see the beauty in it. They're like, I want to become that. Right? I mean, it's just a Hollywood narrative, right? Like they're realizing the bad guys, the good guys. Some of the bad guys become the good guys, and blah blah blah. But I just love that image though, because whenever you say that, I think like all connected. I think like the whole world connected as one, which is true. I mean, beautiful. It's not even just this planet. Like if there is aliens, like it's also consciousness, right? We're all interconnected. I mean, that's how I perceive it, right? Because consciousness to me, when you say, oh, we're all one consciousness, I guess from like the technical side, the way I would explain it is more like we're all running such a similar system of thoughts and feelings and emotions and behaviors in our head that there's similarities that come about from it, and it can all be we can all influence each other and find patterns and help each other. That's my technical way of explaining it. It's like my hardware is very similar to your hardware. My brain and your brain, if we took them out of our heads, maybe slightly different proportions, slightly different shapes, but for all intents and purposes, we wouldn't be able to say this is Frankie, this is Aaron. They're kind of similar. And then two monkey brains, two dog brains, it's similar kind of thing. And all those similarities are together. But my philosophy is, we are all connected because we all have very similar limitations and very similar potentials. Like anybody can be the richest man in the world, or the poorest, or the fittest, or the unfittest, or whatever the opposite of fittest is. But I guess I'll speak a little bit on my side, from my perspective, like bringing the practical up to the infinite. I feel like sometimes a lot of these things are. It's like the work of Joe Dispenza. He's trying to bring the infinite into the practical by measuring things, by measuring different parts of the psyche and making measurements and showing proof of it. I think that's fascinating. I think it's really cool if you can actually take something like neurolinguistic programming or the power of a placebo, right, and realize like, okay, they're not fully practical, but they're practical because they work. People have shown them to work. But I want to take like these practical tools and realize, could we really take this to the infinite level, right? I mean, of course, we're finite beings, so it's never going to be truly infinite. But if we strive and think in that matter, it maximizes our potential as humans. I mean, at least until we become superhuman, you know, with Neuralink coming out and stuff, it's getting a little bit scary because we're not even human anymore, right? Like, I think a person with a Neuralink is going to have an unfair advantage over somebody without, like 100, 200, 500 years in the future.
Dude, the concept that Elon Musk talk about it. Somebody asked Elon Musk, how much do you think the Neuralink will be? Do you know about this?
Knowing Elon Musk, it's probably going to be cheaper than you think.
So he said, this is the concept though. He said the price point doesn't even matter. That's what he said. Because if you, let's say it's $100,000. Okay, let's just say that I'm not gonna price it at that, but let's say it's $100,000. If it is $100,000, you'll buy it, you'll integrate it into yourself, and you'll just learn infinite new things. So with the capacity of learning and doing the things and having all the access to the internet, whatever Neuralink might do to your brain, you'll have the ability to earn 100K plus if it was before even having the Neuralink. So by essence, the Neuralink itself will help you pay any amount that it is worth, because it'll just exponentially help you gain more money, become more smart, have more resources, become so it's like it's it pays for itself.
It's kind of crazy because it's like you could like bridge to like so this is very much on my side of the practical consciousness, because I study AI. Like I'm very interested in those kinds of things, like if you get a heart transplant, you're still you, but if you get a brain transplant, are you still you, kind of ideas. So like the Neuralink is fascinating because you could theoretically bridge two parts of the brain that are loosely connected, but really strengthen that connection. You could have like a really jacked person who can make these complex associations because those parts of the brains are connected. And I don't really know how that'll work in practice, but it's just so fascinating. Like even that's the next step after. Like what I'm trying to do now, like I really want to focus on the practical with the human brain as it is. I don't want to dabble too much. Of course, you know, when you eat food, when you take drugs, it is affecting the brain. You're still putting something in the brain through your mouth, but it's not an invasive like wires with a separate operating system going. It's still the same program, the same genetics, like reacting to some kind of substance. I want to stick to that for now because I don't expect me or people watching to get a Neuralink anytime soon, right? Because they're experimenting on monkeys and stuff. But that is an interesting foreshadowing of like where it's going to go in the future. Because even if this consciousness thing, the hard problem, they call it an AI, is solved in, you know, 500 years, well, then Neuralink just takes that to a different level because you've unlocked basically infinite new possibilities of like, okay, we figure out the human brain, but what about the human brain plus Neuralink? Ah, shit, right? Now it's gotten exponentially even more complex, which is fascinating because I wonder what we could do like as a whole, you know, because we'll still be consciousness. We'll still be, what's beautiful about your side is we'll still be infinite consciousness. We'll still be one consciousness connected, but we're all going to be augmented at the same time. Yeah. So for better or for worse. Right?
I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily my side because I subscribe to both sides too.
Yeah, we both do. But I mean, when I say that, I mean you kind of come from that side, I come from this side, but we want to.
True. Okay, that's a good distinction. Yeah. I think it's true. You know, I feel like they're just different parts of the same thing. So the infinite consciousness, I know you understand the concept too, but you can't do shit with it. Like, no, it'll make you feel good. It'll make you understand. It'll make you feel peace. It'll make you understand where you're coming from. But like I said before, if you don't want to become a monk in the Himalayas, just like Jay Shetty could have just stayed in that Hindu or Buddhist temple that he was, you know, at for like 3 years or so. But why didn't he want to do it? He actually
probably got boring, right?
It got boring for him. But there was actually a monk that told him like, he's like, hey, you don't belong here. You should leave the temple. And he kind of took it personal, as the story that he said. It's kind of a segue here, but he kind of took it personal. He's like, what the hell, dude? Like, I freaking love this shit. I want to become a monk. He's like, no, you go out there and you tell our story. You show the people our story. And that's what Jay Shetty did. So if he would be a monk and living in the life of infinite consciousness, a lot of the millions of people that learned from Jay Shetty would not be where they are at in their level of consciousness. And I feel like that's at least one of my calling. I know it's pretty much your calling too, in a way, to bring people to become awake, because that's the thing, man. Everybody right now, especially in the Western culture where we're from, you know, the US, whatever, most people are honestly falling, like they're walking their day-to-days asleep, and they just wake up for their 9 to 5. They wake up like for fucking 5 minutes before, they commute to traffic, they do things they freaking hate daily. They have never thought about creating their own personality that they love, and they're just going through the motions through life. And that's what everybody wants to do to you. The school system, but you know, your job, government,
even
like
a lot of churches too. They kind of dab into that a little bit.
Yeah,
sometimes.
And I don't want to subscribe like they are doing this to you.
Yeah,
they
are
doing
this
they,
to us.
Right? Who's they? There's no they. It's just, I don't know how. Like, it's just naturally how the world kind of is.
It's just the human. It's human nature. Yeah. Sometimes it can be shitty. So. It can be shitty and greedy, right? But it's overcoming that. That's important.
Yeah. So collectively, you know, that's the thing. Collectively, most people, I think, are asleep. Collectively, if you think about it, most people are asleep.
The Matrix.
Right? I guess. Yeah, that's how you want to call it. Yeah.
Collective unconscious. There's so many names for it.
And I think there's so many people that I feel like we're chosen almost in this world to bring about more consciousness and bring about people to like, hey, bro, like, you're actually living in a dream. Like, you can actually live your life almost how you want to live it. Like, maybe not 100%, but like, you can actually do, at least now. Like, maybe not in the freaking 1800s where there was no internet. Like, things are different. You know what I mean? Like, you had to, like, your dad was a freaking plumber, you'll be a plumber. Or a carpenter, you'll be a carpenter. You know, it's going to be super harder to get out of that. But now that the world is so connected, there's infinite possibilities, and we can all actually wake the fuck up and do more of the things that we want to do.
Yeah. So we're on the same journey in that aspect, because I really view, and we're in agreement here, that infinite consciousness and practical consciousness has to be the same thing, because they both exist in the same reality, and we're both affected by both. Everybody is at all times, right? Because people have practiced practical things that work really good, but people have also noticed things that don't seem very tangible or very apparent or very clear, but they're like, it just freaking works. Like, why does it work? That's the woo-woo, right? So I feel like, from the practical consciousness side, I'll stop calling it my side. I'll say the practical consciousness side. I think the key here is take practical tools that have been shown to work with data, but extend that out to infinity and be like, I can do freaking anything. Like somebody is going to be the first trillionaire. It could be any of us. We don't know who it is, but use those practical tools, but really take it to the infinite and really you could call on God, you could call on the universe, you could call on anything. But really having that gusto, because that placebo effect, like whether or not it's true, like there is some kind of something internally going on that really juices you up and really makes you go for that end goal. I think it's useful because science can be very constricting. Yeah. Like that's the point. But I want to take everything that science currently is in its current state, and I want people to be like, wow, I can do anything. It's like, I could break the 3.5 minute mile if I tried enough. Like, I believe I can, but some people are like, nah, bro, like those people train their entire lives and they have superior genetics. And I'm like, maybe. I mean, like, why are you doubting that possibility?
Yeah.
Like, take the same practical tools that the guy who broke the 4 minute mile did. Let me take that, let me innovate on it and take it to there. Like, maybe we could even break the 3 minute mile or the 2.5 minute mile, right? I think there is a physical limit to like our muscles and tendons and whatnot. But I mean, the car can break the freaking, 20-second mile, 10-second mile, 5-second mile. Like there's ways humans can get around it, but with the human body by itself, I think we really can push the envelope. And that's just the running example. It's just one arbitrary example, but I really believe when it comes to money, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to fitness, and I'm not claiming that I'm an expert in any of these spaces. You know, I'm also have limitations, but I'm exercising the idea of really going for that infinite from the practical side. Yeah. And I want to really share this and have everybody else do the same thing as well. Right? Because I mean, because anybody can say, oh, but you're not a millionaire. And even if I was, oh, you're not a billionaire. And then, you know, it keeps going, oh, you're not a trillionaire. So like you can always make that argument. We're all exactly where we are. But I think it's the pursuit of that high, lofty goal that's so beautiful. And it's if people can be more idealistic and more like positive about that and be a little bit psychotic about it the way I am, then I think people can get a lot more done than you think. Than they think they can. I think that it can be really, really beneficial for people to be a believer, like believe and really call on that infinite possibility, that infinite consciousness, and like call for help from a power that we don't understand. Because science is incomplete. So what's left is the infinite.
And dude, like I've known so many people, and this is what's kind of missing too, I feel, from that like infinite consciousness and practical consciousness side. Like I know so many people that know the truth about infinite consciousness, but it's hard for them to take it into practical. I know so many of them. Like I know a lot of my friends, a lot of my close friends actually know this truth about reality and their connection to source. But they freaking hate their jobs. They're not doing what they want to do. They are not how they want to be. They're not in the physical shape that they want to be. Why? Right? I am not either. But I will tell you that I'm in the freaking journey of it. And every time I'm making my career more aligned with what I want to do, I am making I'm doing more exercise. I'm getting more in shape. I am meditating more. And I'm doing these things.
These expansive, infinite kind of things, right?
Using practical consciousness.
They serve you.
And that's the thing. For everybody, I'll tell you this. If you understood the concept of infinite consciousness, like if you already understand the concept of infinite consciousness, you're like, oh yeah, freaky, like I've listened to Alan Watts, bro. Like I know even more than you, bro. Like, haha, you think you're a smart ass. Cool, dude. So now the next step is take it and apply it to your life. Now let's give you the permission to apply it in your life and start changing your life. And the way to do that is you start to take decisions. You're like, hey, I'm not going to be this fucking person that hates his life anymore. I'm going to be this other person that's going to start doing something that I kind of enjoy. Like, fuck it, I'll get out of my 9 to 5 and play guitar. That's what I really want to do. Yeah. And you start moving towards that.
Or just take a break. Like, just enjoy something for a little bit. Like,
and learn
for yourself. Like, just like release and just be human for a bit and then get back to your thing.
Exactly. Right? Just bring awareness to your day-to-day life. Like start living your life with a little bit more consciousness. Don't be so much in autopilot. Like at least choose to, if you're going to do your 9 to 5, choose to do your 9 to 5. If you're going to drink some coffee, drink the coffee. If you hate your life and you don't know how to get out of it, start to just write it down. Hey, I freaking hate my job. Just write a list of things that you would want to do instead.
And start accepting it.
Start accepting it. Yeah.
Be okay with it.
Yeah. That's the first step, what you just said. Like bring awareness to the problem. Once you have awareness to the problem, address it and explore your options and then take action on it. Like become practical with it. So don't get too carried away with knowing the source, the concept of source. Also take it into practicality. And this is why we want to dissect this so much. And we're going to be bringing it on all of our next podcasts as well. And we'll also expound more on these concepts.
Yeah. Cool, bro. Cool. Well, we're still in our infancy. We're still at the beginning stages of this. So it's a little bit undefined. Like we have the passion and the drive to do everything we want to do.
Yeah.
But we're just sharing that journey. We really want to, as we go and as we uncover new things, right? Like you're going to have cool discoveries. I'm going to have cool discoveries in different ways. Like we'll have case studies. Like things will work for us and things will work for the people that we help and talk to. Maybe some of the viewers that are watching us in the future. And we want to share all that. But the end goal really is to bring this together as much as possible, the infinite and the practical together, and bring on. It's just us two right now, but I want to bring on a bunch of people.
Same.
Right? I want to build a whole team. Like Elon Musk did not build the rocket by himself. It doesn't happen without him, but it didn't happen with only him. Right? Same kind of mentality. Just use him as an example. And that's pretty much true for anything. It's kind of like a family, right? It takes two to make a kid. So you know what I mean? Like we have to be in this together. I think there's a quote by this guy. His name is Derek Moneyberg. I love this quote. I heard this years ago. And it was, if your goals are so small you can achieve them yourself, you need bigger goals.
Ooh,
which I think is freaking amazing. Like neither of us are egotistical enough to think like we're gonna be the ones to solve this and help and save the world. Like, this is stupid, right? Yeah. It's probably not gonna happen in our lifetime. But I wanna help put a big dent in that problem though, right? I really wanna raise it as much as possible in my lifetime. And if I've raised it even a little bit by the time I die, as long as we started that, then I'm happy. Because in 500 years, 1,000 years, we'll be a good ways along this path.
Dude, if somebody can just tell me, tell us, dude, you helped me freaking awaken. Like, I'm doing now what I want to do in life. I decided to go for my opportunity. I fucking risked this shit to get to where I wanted to get.
Exactly.
If somebody can just tell me that, dude.
Or thinking bigger, right? So somebody like hyper practical and realistic and logical is like, whoa, I started thinking big and believing and it freaking worked.
I forgave my mother. I forgave my
shit
father.
Like that. Yeah, I released my traumas. I let go of the past. I stopped dwelling on the future or my fears regarding the future and all this kind of stuff. Like, I think it's bringing these infinite ideas into the practical, and the practical ideas extending to the infinite. So
that's it.
I think that's sick, bro. Well, we are running out of time here. We wanted to keep it to half an hour for this episode, right? Yep. This little chat, but that's really where we stand right now. That's the conclusion we came to, and it's the camp we're gonna stay firmly seated in until something better comes along.
I love it. We didn't really write anything.
These are all free flow. Like nothing scripted. We just have a topic and we just talk about it. We just want this to be us.
Yep.
And eventually, I have aspirations of perhaps like doing a PhD at MIT regarding like consciousness and artificial intelligence and NLP and all these different things. And you have aspirations of meeting people and network. Like, we have big goals.
Yeah.
But those haven't manifested yet, but they will in time.
Yep.
Like, as long as if people keep watching us for the next 5, 10, 20 years,
yep.
They'll see us get there. But that's my intention for this, man. That's really mostly of what I wanted to say on this episode. Just kind of share that distinction that we found and really make a declaration of what we're trying to do. But yeah, man, do you have any final ideas or thoughts you want to mention before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, I just this is something that we speak about all the time. I feel like we're almost freaking chosen to fucking do this. I don't know why. Other people don't entertain these thoughts. I feel like me and you have talked about this. Our minds always go back to this problem. We always try to, bring light to this. And this is going to be our journey. You guys, if you guys want to follow it and learn with us in the journey, we're, like Aaron said, we're still in the beginning stage, but we're doing this all for you guys as well, because it's for us to develop ourselves and for us to help you guys, because when we're helping you guys, we're helping ourselves. And that's it, man. I really enjoyed this talk. I love sharing the ideas that I have with you and kind of brainstorming, seeing your side of things. I truly respect it. And hopefully we can have so much fun, man, doing this and continue it. But
100%.
That's it, dude.
Yeah, bro. And I just want to add one last thing. I believe we're chosen as well, but I believe we're all eventually going to be chosen too. Everybody watching, you will all also be chosen once you're, if you're on board with this. It's the biggest thing I think that we could put our life to. And anybody on board with that, I think you're chosen in your own way. Yeah. And I think that's beautiful.
Damn, that's so true.
And
love you guys.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Peace.
Take care.